Hey everybody, this is Coach Kurt. So this is a tribute to Japanese Ju Jitsu. In some of my videos it may have come across like I have talked down about Japanese Ju Jitsu. That couldn't be further from how I truly feel. Remember, I do Taiho Jitsu, and more specifically a modern police concepts method, which is very modernized version, but Taiho Jitsu is a subset of Japanese Ju Jitsu. Top left, very important, I point this out. Top left is probably one of the best examples I have found on YouTube of Japanese Ju Jitsu. Phenomenal display of skill and technique. And I will put this and any other examples I use from any channel in the description so you can go directly to the video. But this is a phenomenal example of Japanese Ju Jitsu. And I want to make it perfectly clear that if I have come across like I am not very happy with Japanese Ju Jitsu, it's generically speaking. I have mentioned that some Ju Jitsu schools, I might have even said most, and that might be an exaggeration, a lot. So say a lot of Japanese Ju Jitsu schools have really fallen along the lines of overly emphasizing tradition and overly emphasizing the technique without any what I would call juice to the squeeze. Now, that is my interpretation, and it absolutely could be wrong. Remember, this is just some dude on the internet telling you this. You make your own assumptions, and also I have to point out that maybe that's the point of that particular school. For example, people don't take Aikido generally because they truly feel like it's going to be the ultimate self-defense system. They might be looking for the harmony and the relaxation, almost like a Tai Chi. You know, I don't knock that at all. I come from it specifically from the point of view that I do martial arts for self-defense, and very specifically because I've been a cop for 27 years. I teach controlled tactics, use of force, taser, baton, yada yada, pepper spray. I, as a field trainer as well, everything I do is like, how can I better my performance in the field when the poo-poo hits the oscillating device? And so all the things I do martial arts wise is a big influence in what I do and how I do it, at least up to the point of when I retire, because you know I'm 53, I've got a bad hip and bad knees, so I have even lightened up quite a bit on how I train. You know, if you watch my channel, that I cross train in Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. You will definitely see that influence in what I do. You will also see that even from the Jiu Jitsu point of view, and again, top left again, you're seeing another school of Japanese Ju Jitsu, and these are older gentlemen, and they're doing a really good job of demonstrating various Jiu Jitsu throws. And again, this will be in the description. You can go to that link. I will also put a school in my area that is a Japanese Jiu Jitsu school, who I think is a terrific representation of Japanese Jiu Jitsu and a happy balance between self-defense and keeping the traditions of the art. To re-emphasize, and you see I have on the screen, I have used this on the job. I put that down because this is more of an I-key, hop-key type throw or takedown, and people have said, oh, that kind of stuff doesn't work on the job. It does. I've used Sankyo, Yankyo, Gokyo, Shio-Nage, Koregai-ishi, all these techniques I've used over the years on the job in the right format and at the right time. Everything can work, and it's all situationally driven. But to get back on point, the way I do my throws and takedowns, I call them ethical throws and takedowns. I don't practice nearly as much as a traditional Japanese school of jiu-jitsu would. A lot of the extreme reaping, throwing, you know, dropping people on their head and breaking elbows and shoulders and stuff in the process on purpose. I try to keep things as soft and ethical as possible because I have to be objectively reasonable. That's Supreme Court case law, Graham v. Connor. Everything I do and teach has to be objectively reasonable. If I can take somebody down without using any excessive force, I'm going to do it. You should be able to juice your techniques up. If something becomes life-threatening or you know, much more dangerous, then I should be able to juice these techniques up. Also, I'm wearing a gun belt and an outer vest. I have 30 pounds of gear on every day, and I try to keep that in mind as I practice my techniques. If you're seeing it on the screen that I am doing it, generally speaking, I have either done it on the job myself, I've worked with other officers who have done it, and I have used it in active randori or rolling techniques that you would see in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu against a resisting active opponent in an active roll. It bothers me sometimes when jiu-jitsu instructors say, well, there have been jiu-jitsu instructors in my school or system that have used it. This is all hearsay to me. As a police officer, I like to see things for myself, use it for myself. I'm not suggesting that just because somebody says that a friend of a friend used it doesn't mean that it didn't happen and it's not legit, but I like to see things up close and personal. I like to have tried it myself in the real world or against a resisting opponent. So everything I do is streamlined towards that effort. Again, the top left, you're seeing another example of what I say Japanese Ju Jitsu, a phenomenal example of it. And the stuff that I'm doing, what I would say modified. I mean, a lot of it is you can see the Brazilian Jiu Jitsu influence. You can see the wrestling influence and the mixed martial arts influence, and even Krav Maga influence, because I've done Krav Maga and MMA for a couple years with a private instructor. So you will see those influences. And I'm suggesting, when I make suggestions that traditional Japanese Jiu-Jitsu needs to juice things up, I use those systems as examples, not saying that they are better. I'm not saying that a mixed martial arts school is inherently better or a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu school is inherently better. In fact, I think the way Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is trained at most schools, or a lot of schools, is watered down specifically for sport and can put you in danger if you're trying to use it on the street. I've mentioned in many videos that you should never go to the ground on purpose. As a police officer, I'm making arrests. Taking someone to the ground and putting them in handcuffs is the ultimate way to do it, and I have to do it by necessity. But even as a police officer, if I don't have to go to the ground, I try not to go to the ground for obvious reasons. If you train self-defense, you know what I'm talking about. But you need to be able to defend yourself on the ground. I would say you should be at least at a solid blue belt level of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu as far as your groundwork is concerned. And I'm using that as an example, a generic example of a certain level of skill set you should have on the ground. But otherwise, I think the clinch range is the most important range to train in, and that is your dirty boxing range, your clinch range. In and out of the striking range, you're either safe all the way out or you're safe all the way in. That is your grappler's mindset, and you are going to get that with Japanese Jiu-Jitsu when practiced correctly. So to reemphasize, I am a huge fan of Japanese Jiu-Jitsu. I train Taiho Jitsu, which is basically a subset of Japanese Jiu-Jitsu, and I would be a hypocrite if I said I didn't like it. My point on previous videos has specifically been that, hey, it's just that some schools, or I should say a lot of schools, have really gone down the rabbit hole as far as, really tweaking the technique, and really emphasizing the tradition aspects of it, and that is fine. If that is your goal and you're enjoying that, that's terrific. I highly recommend that's what you keep doing. But if you're looking for self-defense, you need to juice things up a little bit, and there are plenty of schools that do that. Like I said, I will put a link of one in my area. All right, everybody, take care, like and subscribe, and be safe out there.
Let's roll. Hey, let's be careful out.